Have you ever wondered to yourself what exactly makes a champion great? Why are some people able to consistently perform at the highest level even when the lights are brightest? Why are some people able to consistently be their best even when it seems like the odds are stacked against them? And why are so many more people never going to be able to reach those heights? Preparation, education, rest, training, consistency, diligence, dedication, all of these things before the big day, before the big moment, are the key factors as to why some people are great and other people will never know what it's like to achieve the highest heights. Our days are full of these small opportunities, and if you can learn to win the small moments, you will eventually win in life. Small moments, small changes, small impacts will eventually lead to big results. So today I want to talk about the idea of understanding and embracing the small moment and then doing everything you can to win as many of them as possible. Previously, we've talked about how before you can win the year or the month or the week, you gotta first win the day. Well, before you can win the day, there's something even smaller, even more impactful that you gotta start to build upon to create momentum. And that small thing is simply moments, golden nuggets, tiny opportunities to win. But you gotta recognize what they are, you gotta understand that they exist, and then you gotta take advantage and take the actions in order to win them. When we talk about winning the small moments, you probably won't win every single one, but can you win the ones that count? Can you win the majority of the small moments? You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get every single thing done. You are still human. But if you can win the key moments and you can win enough moments, you'll ultimately win in life. It's the small moments that lead to days and eventually weeks and then months and then years and then decades. But if you can win the small moments and stack so many of them up that the odds are in your favor, ultimately you can win. Before you can even achieve the goal, you gotta learn to recognize and identify those small moments and then do something about them. Because having the knowledge isn't enough. You gotta do something with it. Knowing about it isn't enough. It's what you do with it. By now, if you've been listening to my channel for any length of time, you know that goals should be driving your day. But broken down into even smaller portions, goals are simply moments. Goals are a collection of tiny moments in time, tiny pockets for you to do something. But what do? And what choice do you make? They're so plentiful, so not few and far between, that if you can learn to win these moments consistently, you'll become a consistent person. And although these tiny pockets of time may be brief as far as length, they're impactful nonetheless. In fact, some of the briefest moments in our lives are often some of the most impactful. Think about the birth of a child. Think about a fight between two lovers. Think about a physical fight between two adults where one person hits their head on the concrete. Your life can change in a mere matter of moments. Before the couple gets into a fight, some things definitely preceded. Did they win the small moments? Were they aware of the small moments? Even though these moments may be brief as far as the actual time they occupy, they're impactful nonetheless. They may weigh heavy nonetheless. And if you can't recognize the importance of these small moments, you might just miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime, or you might dig yourself into a hole that's so hard to dig out of. Think about how long it takes for two people to get into a physical fight. Physical fights between two people generally don't last 30, 40 minutes. It might be 20, 30 seconds. And in 20 and 30 seconds, a person's life can be changed. Forget about a physical fight. What about a fight between two people who care and love each other? What happens when someone who loves someone else goes a little bit too far, says the wrong thing, brings up the wrong thing, hits the wrong trigger? It may have only taken a second for them to say the words that hit the trigger, but that moment mattered. That moment was heavy. If you think about it in the grand scheme of your life, if you're alive 30, 40 years before you have your first kid, you think about the idea of a mother giving birth for the very first time. That entire delivery process may take anywhere from 4 to 7 to 8 hours. Well, on a micro scale, that's a lot of time to be giving birth. And shout out to the women who are brave enough to take that risk for a person they haven't even met yet. But compared to the grand scheme of their life, those 4, 6, 7, 8, even if it takes 10 hours to deliver that baby, the amount of time you spend giving birth is so small in the grand scheme of your actual life. But how impactful is it? The moment in which you give birth for the very first time is something you'll probably never forget. Small moments make big impacts. Small moments lead to a lifetime of change. And again, in that small moment where that mother gave birth, literally an entire life, an entire path was forged. Worlds were changed in that moment. Lives were impacted in that moment, and it didn't last forever. And it goes on and on and on. We could just keep breaking it down further and further and further. If the dad is there and he shows up right on time to support the mother as she's giving birth, that matters. If the father's there stressing her out, that matters. If the father never even shows up, that matters. Small moments, big impacts. Think about a car accident. Brief, seconds, but literally life-changing. Lives are being changed every single day. But how often are car accidents preventable? But what happens when a person decides to pick up those keys and drink and drive even when they know they shouldn't? What happens when a person decides to call a ride, an Uber or Lyft, and make sure that they take the necessary precautions to keep everyone else safe? A small, brief moment, a massive impact. Not all of these moments are created equally either. One night in jail versus one night home, really big difference. Same amount of time, totally different experience, totally different outcome. And if you're a person who's never been to jail, never spent time behind bars, it's going to do something to you. Telling one lie often leads to a person having to tell another lie and another lie and another lie. But the initial lie only lasted for a brief moment. But in that small amount of time in which somebody chose to utter those words, the deceitful, dishonest words, a path was started, a trail was started. And even though that moment was small in time, it created some sort of an impact. And so much of our lives are like this. We got to learn to appreciate, respect, embrace, and do something about those small moments. And the beauty of these small moments is that they can often lead to far bigger results than you even realize. The gift and the curse of these small moments is they often lead to really big results. And the big results doesn't necessarily have to be good or bad. It depends on the situation. If you're fortunate enough, if you're blessed enough to be able to choose the type of food you eat and lifestyle you live, small moments are constantly coming your way, and if you can take advantage of them, you can win. Do you eat the bad food and have an extra cheat day, or do you go to the gym and eat the salad? Do you choose to study? Do you choose to read? Do you choose to prepare? Do you choose to get the reps? Do you choose to respect and honor the game enough to do what it takes beforehand to secure the victory? Forget about hitting a buzzer beater or throwing a Hail Mary or doing some spectacular thing in crunch time. Just think about the idea of a win. The team that often wins, the player that often wins, the fighter that often wins is the one who prepared the most. The one who was most consistent and diligent and unwavering in their discipline. The one who wouldn't compromise. The one who held strong in their integrity. And the one who had a purpose and wouldn't let that purpose die. The one who had a purpose and who used that purpose to fuel and drive them all the way to the top. These small moments are literally the building blocks to success or failure, to winning or losing, to consistency and dedication and results, or failure, inconsistency, and regret. And you get to choose every single day, but not just once a day, all throughout it. These small moments are often what determines whether or not heartbreak ensues or love is what's coming next. Whether or not life is coming next or death is coming next. Whether or not the promotion is coming or whether or not stagnation is what you're destined for. Whether or not growth and health and wealth and building and improvement is what you get, or regret and worry and stress and anxiety is what you get. Because you get to choose, and there's going to be so much time before the big day, before the game, before you actually got to show up. You get a choice. What are you doing with it? Will you be okay with disappointment if in fact it occurs because you chose not to prepare? Or will you execute and actually find the success that you know you're capable of? With these small moments, we want to start to create momentum. With these small moments, we want to start to build to something better. With these small moments, we want to use the momentum that we create to push us and propel us to heights we couldn't even imagine. But we got to start with the small moments. So whether you watch the best athletes or performers or policemen or doctors or teachers or lawyers or whatever it is, the best of the best understand the importance of preparation. The best of the best embrace preparation and understand it because they see it for the powerful tool that it is. Meanwhile, those who are destined to be average, below average, underperformers, excuse makers, those are the ones who aren't preparing. Those are the ones who, even though they know the day is coming, they still do nothing about it. And here's the thing, whether you know your time is coming or not, whether you're ready for your time or not, it's coming. So what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do about it? Will you sit by idly and allow time to continue to pass? Or will you focus on and win those small moments? Will you understand that as soon as you wake up, the small moments are beginning? Or do you wake up and immediately thank God or the universe or whoever or whatever you believe in for another chance to get it? Do you immediately wake up and go to the phone and waste time and doom scroll and do things that you know won't lead to prosperity, that you know you've done multiple times over and it's never led to anything? Or do you wake up and do you meditate? Do you clear and sharpen and focus your mind? We've all heard the phrase that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Do you do what it takes to build momentum even in the earliest hours of the day? These games are being won and lost far before the clock ever hits zero. We're just the last ones to know it. The preparation was done far before. We just didn't see it. They say integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is looking. Preparation. Being intentional about how you approach life, the game, your performance, your job, your relationships, your outcome, your success, and your future is everything. But you gotta be intentional about it. The idea of preparation is literally just winning the small moments before the big moment so that when the big moment occurs, it's like nothing to you. Preparation is literally all about how you approach those moments, both small and big, because they all matter. And once again, discipline is going to be your superpower. When you're in the line at that drive-thru and you haven't even placed your order yet, you got a choice. You can still pull off. You don't have to do it. When you're sitting outside at the gym and you don't want to go in, but you know you set a goal and you know you want to hit it, discipline is what's going to set apart the winners from the losers. When it's the fourth quarter of that game and somebody has to take over, the person who was disciplined and trained not only their body but their mind, that's the person who's going to win. The person who was dedicated and ate right and trained right and educated themselves and studied and worked hard and was consistent, that's the person that's going to perform. Because not only have they done the work to actually achieve the skill, there's a level of comfort that you're able to perform with because you know you've done the work. And what could be more fair? Shouldn't the person who's done 1,000 reps of whatever it is achieve a higher level of mastery than the person who's only done 100? Shouldn't the person who trained for 3 hours every single day have a far greater advantage than the person who trained for 3 hours a week? Discipline will either be your superpower or your weakness. We all get to choose. Death by 1,000 paper cuts or success with millions of tiny moments won. Consistency and dedication and focus, it's literally in your hands and it keeps on happening. But did you notice? Are you paying attention or are you letting these moments slip? Are you underestimating and undervaluing the small moments, the small wins that you could be accumulating? Rome wasn't built in a day. It was actually built brick by brick by brick. Build your bricks. The way to build the Colosseum of your life will be brick by brick by brick. Small moments leading to bigger goals, leading to you winning the day, then the week, then the month, then the year, and then life. That's simple. So what will you choose? Death by 1,000 paper cuts or success by winning 1,000,000 tiny moments? When we talk about winning these small moments, not only is it physical, but it's mental. Will you allow that negative thought to creep into and seep into your mind? Or will you allow positive thoughts and good energy and all of the best things to drive your movements? Being unprepared is taxing. Being unprepared is draining. Showing up for the big day, whether it's an interview or a game or performance or even just a regular day at work where you gotta do a presentation or show up as you should. When you are unprepared, when you are late, when you are undisciplined before, it matters and it does something to you. One of the things it does that's so harmful to us is it just chips away at your armor. It chips away at your integrity. It chips away at your consistency. Because the more we do something, those habits eventually become our character. And that character eventually determines our outcomes. People with low character, people who won't practice or prepare or educate themselves or do what it takes to win, don't deserve the victory. And I'm not even one who really likes to use the word deserve too much. But if you didn't put the work in ahead of time, should you really be able to stay claim to the victory? If you didn't put the work in ahead of time, you should be nervous. You should be scared because you know the other person probably did. Even if it's just a little bit more. If they gave it a little bit more than you, that might be enough to get the victory. Why leave any stone unturned if you know you can change things in your favor? You should never choose to be unprepared. You should never choose to bring that level of stress and anxiety and pressure onto yourself if you don't actually have to. Sometimes things are out of our hands, but when you can choose to be prepared, always take that choice. Balance and perspective are also going to be key here. You may not win every single battle. You may not get every single small moment. But if you can get the right ones, and if you can get enough of them, that's really all that matters. We're human. You're going to fail. You're going to come up short sometimes. You're not going to win every single one. But timing is everything. And when you can recognize which small moments, which might only last a little bit of time, are most important, that's when you can start to see some real change. If you don't understand that showing up to that graduation for your kid or for your family member or for your spouse or for whoever is really important, you might show up a little bit late. You might miss the whole thing. You might not realize that it's really big to that person and your presence really matters, and you might miss out on it. The whole graduation might only last an hour or two, but it will stick forever in that person's mind if you are there. It will also stick in their mind if you're not. The wedding. How about showing up to your best friend's wedding or that family member's wedding? They've been waiting to get married their entire life, and you know that your presence will be everything. Showing up, the actual wedding only lasts for an hour or two, or 3 or 4, or however long the wedding was. Not a lifetime, not forever, just a moment. Going to the wedding, experience it. There's nothing like being there in person. Building those small moments that create special relationships. Small moments are everything. Small moments matter so much because so few of what we do lasts for a really long duration. You think about it, a hug, brief second. A hug can change somebody's day. A hug can literally change somebody's life. But what happens when you don't get the hug? The hug you give today might literally be the last time you get to give it. So why not give the hug? You don't need to win every single moment, but can you win those small moments when you know you should have called that person? The call is not going to last for years, but if you know that picking up the phone will make a difference, you got to pick up the phone. Just recently, I was able to reconnect with a family member who I hadn't really heard from in a long time. Just by picking up the phone, just by making that call, I was able to create a connection with someone who I deeply cared about, but just hadn't made the time. And there's so many other family members, friends, people who I care about, who I want to make sure I'm creating time for. I want to make sure I'm being intentional for. And so whether it's a text or a call or a checkup or a hug or just being there for them, those small moments really matter. What happens when someone is really going through it and you find a way to be there for them? The time in which you're there for them isn't going to last for 1 billion years, but they'll never forget it. They say that people will never forget how you make them feel, and that goes for good or bad. So what are you choosing in the small moments? There are constant opportunities to win and build and become better, but do you see them? For sure these moments will occur. For sure they're going to happen. In fact, they're happening right now. They're going to happen in 5 and 10 minutes and 15 minutes. What you choose to watch, what you choose to listen to, what you choose to observe, what you choose to comment on, and what you choose to interact with, who you choose to listen to, how you choose to listen, how you choose to be there for people, all of it. So you want to embrace those constant opportunities to win and grow and learn and build and be better, because those are the moments that allow you to perform when the lights are brightest. Those are the moments that allow you to be your best. Those are the moments that separate the good from the elite. Those are the moments that separate the talented from the excellent. And it all comes back to choice. You still get to choose. When those moments come, will you choose discipline and getting closer to your goals, or will you choose distance and getting even further from them? They're coming whether you're ready or not. They're coming whether you make the right choice or not. What are you doing with those tiny moments? For me, it's simple. I haven't always done what I need to do, when I need to do it, with the level of consistency that I need to. But today is different. Now is different. And it's never too late to get started. Choose to get closer to your dreams. More focused, more consistent, more dedicated. Using your why, using your purpose to fuel everything. And respect the process and realize that those small moments will lead to the big change that you seek. But you gotta embrace them. What does it do to your character when you consistently win? When you consistently show up? When you never compromise your integrity? When you always do what you say you would? When you always do what you know you should? And even if every single time you don't get it, you know the majority of times you do. You know when your loved ones need you, you show up. You know when you need you, you show up. You know when you're supposed to be consistent, you're consistent. When you're supposed to be dedicated and passionate, you don't have a problem doing it because that's just who you are. That does something to you integrity-wise. And then what happens when the reverse is true? What happens when you don't show up, when you're not consistent, when you always compromise your integrity, and when you never do the things that it takes to achieve what you say you want? It does something to you. It chips away at that armor, if you choose that. Or instead of chipping away at the armor, you could build the armor. You could reinforce the armor. You could make it stronger, better, more efficient. And the best part is, you get to choose. Will you win and consistently live up to your own expectations? Will you underachieve and not do exactly what it takes to achieve the heights that you know you could? Or will you win and rise to the level that you know is always in you? Will you fold to the pressure, or will you live up to your own expectations? The choice is yours. What does it do to your confidence when every single time you set a goal, you achieve it? Well, if every single time you set a goal, you achieve it, if every single week you win your goals, if every single month you won the weeks, every single year you win, the choice remains yours. And it's all made of small moments. How dare you not embrace the small moments? How could you not understand and respect the immense power that is the tiny moments, the small things, the preparation, the education, the learning, the consistency, the showing up on a day-to-day, even when it's not easy, even when it's not fun, because you're on a mission. How long does it take to rob a bank? How long does it take to hit a game winner? How long does it take to break someone's trust or break someone's heart? How long does it take to build someone's trust? How many small moments had to take place along the way to get to be able to love someone? How long does it take for somebody to propose? How long does the actual proposal take? Moments. Mere moments. How long does a funeral take? How long does the birth of a child take? How long does a graduation take? How long does a birthday take? How long does it take to order that food? How long does it take to go to the gym? How long does it take to choose discipline? How much longer will you wait to choose the right thing? Small moments time-wise tend to have a massive impact. And understanding this relationship is critical to life. It's critical to evolving and being your best as a person. I'm not trying to tell you that time alone is everything. What I am telling you is that how you spend it matters. How you choose to spend your time, one of the most precious gifts given to us all, really, really matters. Who you tend to spend time with, what you tend to spend it doing, what you focus on, what you listen to, what you allow into your eyes and ears and mind and heart, what you allow to touch your spirit, who you allow to connect with you, who you allow into your space. Small moments. Are you working, learning, improving? Are you saving or are you spending? Are you choosing to build or are you choosing stagnation? Are you choosing life or are you choosing laziness? The choice is yours. Do you choose the ice cream or do you choose the 30-minute walk? Do you choose Netflix or do you choose to read? It may not even be the case that there's a right or wrong choice, simply trade-offs. But what are you willing to sacrifice on the altar of your time? Wins and losses are decided way before the clock ever hits zero. We just don't know it. What we see on TV is simply a representation of the preparation that has occurred far before the game ever took place. Preparation, rest, study, consistency, dedication, diligence, persistence, and doing the right thing in the right moments are what will lead to victory. At the highest levels of competition, we hear athletes and performers talk about something called a flow state, where their body and their minds are working together in such perfect harmony that it's almost like second nature. Sometimes the difference between winning and losing is inches, mere inches. And even if it's just a little bit of a difference, that little bit of a difference is often enough to secure the victory. So if the difference between winning and losing is mere inches, that should let us know that small moments are really important. That even when it doesn't seem like it matters, doing the right thing absolutely does. How committed are you to giving yourself the chance to move in your own flow state, to to have your body and mind work in perfect harmony, to be able to execute and perform and achieve at the highest levels of your capability, to truly achieve the greatness that you know you're capable of. On some level, I would say you probably owe it to yourself. But it doesn't matter if I think it. It doesn't matter if other people think it. You gotta know it, you gotta believe it and understand it, and you gotta start to embrace and win the small moments if you're serious about achieving those goals. If you're serious about winning weeks and months and years and decades and on and on and on. Consistent winning comes from consistent preparation. But who will consistently prepare? Who will consistently do what it takes beforehand, before the game, when no one is looking, when the cameras aren't rolling, when it's not fun or sexy or appealing, when it's too hot or too cold or too uncomfortable? Who still shows up even when it wasn't fun? Who still shows up even when they could have done something else, even when they could have been somewhere else? Who still shows up when it matters most? Those small moments are building something, and it's not just momentum, but it's character and integrity and results. So what are you doing? How consistent are you being? Are you focused on finding and winning the small moments, or will you allow life to slip by? On some level, I'm sure talent does play a role in things, but talent will only get you so far. It's the idea that hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. It's the idea that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Preparation, the stuff you do beforehand, is going to determine how you perform. But how high are your standards? How strong is your purpose? And how committed are you to excellence even in those small moments? So whether it's a test, a game, a birthday, a graduation, the first minute, the last minute, the first day, the last week, the last year, winning those small moments is everything. Embrace them. Do something about it. Realize that these are the building blocks to success. So what are you building? What type of materials are you using? How consistent are you? How dedicated are you to building the successful legacy that you know you should? This is the Infinite Evolution.